Hi everyone and welcome again to this ASP.NET Core tutorial. Today in this video we will learn one of the most important concepts of today's software development, that is dependency injection. We will try to understand what is dependency injection, how to use it, how to achieve it, and how to configure it in ASP.NET Core web application. Let's start. We will start from what is dependency injection. How can we configure this dependency injection in ASP.NET Core web application? Then what is the lifetime of service? What are the benefits of using dependency injection in ASP.NET Core application? We will try to understand all these things in this video. First of all, let's have a look what is dependency injection. Dependency injection is the technique to achieve IOC. IOC means inversion of control. So if you are using dependency injection in our application or in any application, then you can achieve inversion of control. And what is the meaning of inversion of control? It means you need to make your code loosely coupled so that in future if there is any change, then there should not be any tightly coupling in between two classes or objects. They should have loosely coupling, and that is the main agenda of inversion of control, that is loosely binding. Before learning more about dependency injection, let's understand what problem we can get if we are not using it and how can we resolve this problem. Suppose I am working on a web application, and in this application I have created few controllers. Suppose I have 5 controllers file in ASP.NET Core web applications. In general, when you are working on a large project, then you can see that there are more than 5 controllers in your project. So just prepare your mind that you are working on a very large application. And suppose in this application you are using some services. You can say services or repository or any other classes that you are going to use into your controller classes. So for example, in our case we are using repository and we are using those repositories into our controller class. And this concept is not fixed only for controller and repository, it is applicable for two classes. If you are going to use two classes in each other, then you need to use dependency injection. Now let's see how we are using these services into these controllers. So in general, if you are not using dependency injection, then suppose I am using this first service into 3 controllers or more than 3 controllers. Just assume the basic concept, and the rest services like service number 2, 3 and 4, they are also being used in all the controllers or some of the controllers. Just try to understand the concept and how we generally create the object of these services into the controller. We generally use a new keyword. So how to do that? New and the name of our service class. So this is how we generally create an object of any service in controller class. In general, either we can create this new object into the action method, or we can create it into the constructor, so that for all the action methods we can have one instance, and that instance will be used in all the action methods. This is the basic structure if you are not using dependency injection in your application. Now let's see what problem we can face if we are not using dependency injection or we are working with this structure. Suppose in future I got some requirement where I need to make some changes into this service 1. For example, I want to change the name of this service 1. Then immediately, because this service has been used in 3 controllers, so you have to update all these 3 controllers as well. It means whatever changes you are making into your services, you have to update your controller class, and that is the main problem. It means they have a tight coupling in between them, controller and services. And if you are using dependency injection, then we can create a loosely binding in between these two classes. Let's see how can we do that. Let's try to understand this example only by using one service. Suppose I have one service, and if I want to work with dependency injections, then I need to create one interface for this particular service. Suppose the interface name is iService1. Now inside my controller class, I will not work on this service. I will use only this interface to create the field and to store the object of this particular service. This controller does not know anything about this service 1. All it know is iService1 interface. Now in case if you are making any change into your service class, then you don't have to make any change into the controller. And for example, if this service has been used in suppose 10 to 20 controllers, then that is the main use of dependency injection. It means if in that situation you are making any change, then you do not have to update your controllers every time. Now here at this point you can have one more point in your mind. And what is that? The question is that because I'm using only this interface into the controller class and I'm going to store the object into this controller field as well, then where I will create this instance of this particular service? How this application will come to know that this interface has been resolved by using this particular class? In the concept of dependency injection, we generally create a container, and inside that container we define some settings. Suppose here I have created this one container, and inside this container I have written like, if I'm going to use this iService1 interface, then this iService1 interface will be resolved by service1 class. It means the implementation is written into this service1. And that is the main concept of dependency injection. Now you need to use these services into your controller class. At what place do I need to write my code so that I can use this interface? In ASP.NET Core, we can write this code at constructor level, method level, or action method level, or the property level. If you are using this service into constructor, then it will be available for all the methods. Similarly, if you are using this service into any action method, then this will be available only for that particular action method. So these are some basic steps that we need to implement in our ASP.NET Core web application if we want to work with dependency injections. Now let's understand how can we configure this dependency injection in ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core provides the built-in support for dependency injections. If you are coming from the ASP.NET MVC background, then over there, if we were using dependency injections, then we need to install some third-party library, just like AutoFag, etc. But here, if you are using ASP.NET Core, then there is no need to install anything, any third-party library. The support of dependency injection is given by default. Dependencies are registered in containers. So as I have already told you that we generally register these dependencies into the containers, and the container in ASP.NET Core is iService provider. During the registration time, we register them into the iService collection. But when these services get resolved, then we generally use iService provider. And this iService provider is used internally by ASP.NET Core framework. Services are typically registered in applications startup.configure services method. If you remember something from our startup class, then over there we were having two methods, and the first method was configure services. So we have to use this method to register all the services that we want to use in our ASP.NET Core application. Now here is the important concept of dependency injection. Suppose you have registered your services in the container. Now what is the lifetime of this particular service? In ASP.NET Core, there are three ways to define the lifetime of any service. First one is transient, second one is scoped, and the third one is singleton. And if you want to set the lifetime of your service to transient, then you need to use add transient method. Similarly, for the scoped, we need to use add scoped, and for the singleton, we need to use add singleton. First one is transient. A new instance of the service will be created every time it is requested. Suppose you have registered your service by using this addTransient method, then every time you will use this service, or every time you will try to call your service or resolve your service, then a new instance will be created every time for you. Second one is scoped. If you are registering your services by using this scoped method, then the instance will be same for the complete HTTP request. Third one is singleton, and if you are registering your services by using this singleton method, then the instance will be same for the entire application. Now let's write some code and let's try to use this dependency injection in our bookstore web application. Let's open the Visual Studio. Let's open the controller class and let's open the repository folder as well. So right now you can notice that we are using two repositories. First one is book repository and second one is language repository. Okay, the first step was to create an interface for this particular repository. So right now we have two services. So right now we have two repositories. It means we need to create two interfaces for these repositories. Let's create the first one for this book repository. If you are using Visual Studio, then there is the easiest way. Right click on your class, go to quick actions, and here you need to click on this extract interface. Here let's enter the name of our interface. So by default it is iBook repository, and we need to create a new file, and here are all the methods that we want to have in this particular interface. Let's click on the OK button. So new interface has been created for us. Here you can see, and this interface has been inherited in this book repository class as well. Let's do the same thing for this language repository. Click on the extract interface and click on the OK button. So right now you can notice that we have two interfaces and two implementations for these interfaces. Perfect. The second step was to register these services in some container. Let's open the startup class. Over here you can notice that we have already written some code by using this services and add scoped. Inside this method we have written this book repository and again this book repository. It means we were trying to achieve the dependency injections, but this was not implemented fully because here we were writing book repository and book repository. And if you will have a look on the controller class, let's open the book controller, then you can notice that we have written some code of book repository over here in this controller class. Now suppose I want to make some changes into the name of my book repository, then I need to update this book controller class as well. And if this book repository is being used in home controller, then I need to update the home controller as well. Now we need to remove that problem. So during the registration time, as a first parameter you need to pass the interface, and the interface is iBook repository, and as the second parameter you need to pass the implementation of this particular iBook repository interface. Similarly, let's do the same thing for this iLanguage repository. This is how you can register your services by using add scoped method. If you want to register your services by using add transient method, then you can go with that one, add transient or singleton. So you can use any methods as per the need of your application. Before learning more about these dependency injection, let's have a look on this services.addDBContext as well. If you remember the previous videos of this tutorial, then we have written this code to use the context class into a repository. Now let's right click on this add DB context and choose go to definition. Perfect. Let's scroll a little bit to the right side. And over here you can notice what is the lifetime of this context. The lifetime is service lifetime dot scoped. It means this service has been registered with scoped lifetime. Now let's make some changes into the controller class. Let's open the book controller. So over here you can notice that earlier we were using this book repository, but this time we will use interface, and that is iBook repository. Similarly in the constructor as well. So as I have already told you that there are three ways to resolve this dependency in ASP.NET Core, and right now we are using the constructor one. How we are doing it? First we are creating a field over here, and this is the field. Then we are injecting this service into the constructor, and this service will be resolved by the ASP.NET Core framework. And over here in this book repository you will get the instance of your service class. Now if you will have a look on this controller class, then this controller does not know anything about the book repository class. All it knows is iBook repository interface, and if you will build your application, then you will notice there is no compile time error. Similarly, let's do the same thing for this language repository. Let's use the interface. Perfect. Let's open the home controller. Over here we are not using any service, so we can leave it. Now let's run this application again in debug mode. Over here you can notice that we are getting an error, and this error says invalid operation exception, unable to resolve the service type for WebGentle bookstore book repository while attempting to activate this WebGentle.bookstore.components.toBooks view component. It means we are getting the problem into our view component. Let's open the view component file as well. And over here also you can notice that we are using this book repository. Let's update this code as well. Perfect. So this has been updated. Now let's open this book repository and let's have a look on the references. The first reference is this constructor, and second one is this startup class. Other than these two places, this book repository has not been used anywhere. Everywhere we are using only this iBook repository interface. And suppose, for example, in future there are some chances that you want to implement your book repository by using some other techniques. Then you can create one more class for this book repository. You can use the same interface, iBook repository. It means you can have the same contract. You can implement all these methods in your new class, and all you have to do is you just need to update your startup class. At this place, you need to write the name of your new class, and your application will be updated as per the new class. And the main point is that you do not have to make any change in any of the other files. Again, let's run this application in debug mode. We are having the home page of our application. Here are the top books, and these top books are coming from the view component. Let's open the details of any book. Here are the details. Let's click on the all books. Here we are having all the books. Let's click on any of the details again. This time you will notice that we are having the slider as well, and here are the other details. Here are the similar books, and everything is working fine. Now let's debug this application. Let's put a breakpoint into the book controller, and here let's put a breakpoint. Okay, let's click on this all books, and let's click on the F10 button. In this book repository field, you can notice that we are having the instance of this book repository class. Although we have not written book repository anywhere in this book controller, but still we are getting the instance of this book repository. How? Because the ASP.NET Core framework is doing this for us. And now we are working with the loosely coupling binding. Now, what are the benefits of using this dependency injection? First one is loosely coupling between controller and repository. And remember, this relation is not only limited to controllers and repository. If you are having one more layer into your application, for example, controller classes, then the business layer, and then the data layer, then you can create the dependency injection in among all these classes. The controller does not create the instance of repository, rather it is created by the dependency injection container. As you have already seen that this controller is not creating the instance of our book repository, this was created by the application, and that is dependency injection container. Controller does not define the implementation of repository. Only the interface of this repository is used in the controller. This makes easy to change the implementation of repo without modifying the controller class. What does it mean? It means we are not using the repository directly into our controller class. We are dealing only with the interfaces, and in case we want to make some changes into the implementation of repository, then we can simply update that, and we do not have to make any change into the controller class. That is all in this video. Make sure to hit the like button, comment, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.